Hello everyone, this is Dr.Anudeep and today I would like to talk about mental health. When I speak about mental health, there is one disease which is always misunderstood by the people and misunderstood by youngsters and wrongly portrayed by movies. And the disease is called depression. Yes, my friend, depression is a disease which is always wrongly portrayed by the movies and wrongly understood by the people. And nowadays depression has become a normal word by teenagers and youngsters. They simply use the word depression, but when you talk medically, it is not a normal word, or it is not a normal thing to use it, because it is a psychiatric disease and it is a mental illness, a mental health problem. Before I talk about this disease, I would like to wish you all a happy new year, as we are still in the month of January. We still have our new goals and new resolutions in our lives, but we need to remember a few things, or we need to remember a few things which we have learned from 2020. When I speak about 2020, you all remember only one thing, that is coronavirus pandemic. There is one more thing which we all ignored, is about mental health. Mental health coming to our country, there is no much awareness regarding mental health in our country, because we always look at physical aspect of body, but we always ignore the mental aspect of body, which is also most important thing in our life. And when it comes to 2020, we've lost so many people due to coronavirus, and we have lost so many people with other kind of diseases, especially from film industry. We've lost so many legends like Rishi Kapoor, Irfan Khan, and when it comes to Hollywood, we lost Chadwick Boseman. And that one death which shocked the entire nation was Sushant Singh Rajput's death. Yes, my friend, Sushant Singh Rajput's death was unexpected, and we never expected this thing from that guy, because he was a superstar, he was a celebrity. He has a nice career. Whenever we saw his movies, whenever we saw his interviews, he never looked a depressed guy. He never looked as a depressed guy. This is what I would like to give you awareness about, because depression is not a simple disease where you simply can see through your eyes, because it is related to his mind, and it is related to his heart. It is related with his emotions, where he cannot share a few things with, even with his friends or with his family members or with his well-wishers. They can't express their views on the disease they are suffering with, because when it comes to movies, they always portray depression as a drug addict, depression person as a drug addict or an alcoholic addict. But it's not the same way with every person, because every person will not feel the same way as we see in the movies. Every person will not go into drug addict. Every person will not have addicted with alcohol, because depression is different from person to person. And when it comes to Sushant Singh death, we never thought that this guy was suffering with depression, because he was always laughing, he was always smiling. Whenever we see his interviews also, he was never he never looked like that. He never looked like that, But the things which we need to learn from his death is, he has 11 million followers in Twitter and so many million followers in Facebook and Instagram, but he never shared his emotions, his feelings with any of these persons, even though with his girlfriend or with his friends or with his family, because these emotional feelings are so personal, so that they can't share with anyone. But when it comes to depression, initially these people will suffer with sadness. These people we used to suffer with normal sadness. But as this sadness goes on, and they don't find any hope in their life, they slowly enters into depression. And this depression has several stages, where they finally develop suicidal tendency and they finally commit suicide. And exactly most of the Indian teenagers and youngsters, the deaths of young people in India, the suicidal rate is increased because of depression. And in not only in India, in Western side also, most of the youth are committing suicide. There may be several various reasons, like not having money, not having proper job, not breakups, relationship problems. There have been so many reasons, but the final thing which we see in depression is committing suicide. Even though a rich guy like Sushant Singh Rajput, an actor like Sushant Singh Rajput, will also suffer with the same problem. Has also suffered with the same problem where a normal guy would suffer, because this is purely emotional. This is purely dealing with emotions. So I strongly recommend you people, as whenever you see any kind of person in your life, whether it may be your brother, whether it may be your friend, whether it may be your father, mother, or any other, whether it may be your colleague in your office, please try to talk with them. Whenever you see or whenever you look at a person sad or not having proper mood, try to speak with them, try to talk with them, try to engage with them, try to bring them out of this problem. Because depression, when person is suffering with sadness, it is okay. It is okay for a few days, but when it is not solving, or when a person cannot come out of sadness, he may land into depression. And when he really lands in a depression, there will be no hope. There will be hopelessness. The main thing which we see in depression is hopelessness, and this hope can be filled with only love. Love means it might be any kind of love. It might be from parents, it might be from friends, it might be from girlfriend, from his family friends. They has to share a few things with him. They has to talk with him, and it may help him to come out of that sadness, and it may prevent the person who goes into depression, and which may help him finally to find his own life. But most of the time we ignore this kind of people. We usually we see this kind of people in our offices, in our office, in our families, but we generally ignore these people. Why? Because it is not a physical thing it is not a physical thing which we can see through our eyes. It is which is related. It's a subjective thing. Depression is a subjective thing which we can't look at with your eyes. You have to speak with him. You have to encourage him, and you need to bring him back to his normal life. But sometimes our motivation or our after speaking with them also, they can't come out of this thing, because they might develop depression. The sadness may turn into depression. This is the time where they can't find that hope. Even though you speak to them, even though you talk to them, even though you encourage them, they doesn't feel like encourage that. They doesn't feel like having their life back again. So you can't help such kind of people. But when it is in initial stages like sadness or anxiety, definitely you can help them. But when it goes to a depression kind of state, you might not help him, because his mind doesn't obey your commands. So this is the time exactly a patient may need doctor. A patient may need a doctor help. He need a treatment. He need a medications help. And this is how we deal with depressed patients. And few things I would like to tell in this video is when we talk about Sushant Singh death, he was a bit emotional guy, because when we think when we depend on our emotions, it always makes us weak, because emotions are always concerned with your heart, concerned with your mind, and whoever who thinks emotionally, or whoever lives on emotions, will always becomes a weaker person. And whoever who lives on faith, whose faith is strong, they don't suffer with this depression, they don't suffer with this sadness. So that's what I wanted to tell you. Always live by faith, not by feelings, because when you live by feelings, so always try to live by faith, not by feelings. If you live by feelings, if you live on feelings, you will become weaker and weaker day by day. But if you live on your faith from God, faith on yourself, faith on God, faith on your family, it can be any type of faith, but you have to live by faith, which will make you stronger and stronger. It will make you grow further. But if you start living on your emotions, if you start living on your feelings, nobody will help you when you are low. So try to live by faith.